Well, welcome back. So I wanted to refresh a lot of my AWS videos. So I'm using the AWS Learner Lab. Looking at this is from a prior semester. My running, in fact, if I just look at all my instances, I have some things running. I have an SFTP only and a new one. We're going to come in here and just for kicks, we're going to terminate these instances. Now, why I'm terminating these, what is an instance? What is EC2? So Elastic Compute Cloud is a way to basically run a server, an instance, a virtual machine in the cloud. And there's tons of options. You can, it's, in fact, let's look this up. Okay, pulled up a few things so that, and I'll just link to these down below. So Amazon EC2, it's basically resizable compute capacity to be able to handle any workload. It's a computer. So there's lots of options here. I like this chart right here. This allows you to say what I want and tells you how much it costs. So for example, if we want, let's do one CPU and 0.5 gig of memory, which, believe it or not, will run a ton of things. And I think, why do I'm trying to remember how to search with this, but we will just do it this way. So if I want to just say how much virtual CPU, I can sort it, and they get pretty big. 896 virtual CPUs with, wow, lots of memory. But it's also $135 an hour. Okay, let's get to the lower scale. One CPU and it can burst. So this is less than a penny an hour, a little more than half a penny an hour. That's for the reserve for the Windows cost. So you have here different options. Let's talk a little bit about the different options. On demand means I want it, I'll pay for it, give it to me now. So on demand, this is going to be Linux on demand. They don't have to spell that out because everyone just knows, because that's going to be the default. Most businesses, the servers, they're Linux. Okay, so it's just over half a cent an hour. Okay, come to the reserved. So that means you're going to say, hey, not only do I want this, but I'm going to run it all year long. So let me pay for a year. And you can pay for it up front. You can pay for it throughout. There's different ways to pay for it. And you get a little bit of a discount depending on what you do. So that's a fourth of a cent, less than a fourth of a cent. Linux Spot. So a spot instance is where you say, hey, I have a workload. I want to get it done by a certain date and time, but it won't take that long, or it'll take a long time, but I'm willing to chunk it and do it in chunks. And if someone's willing to pay for more for it, they can have it. So spot instances are cheaper. Of course, it's unavailable for this cheapest one. So if we look at this one right here, on demand is 2 cents an hour. Linux reserved is a penny and a half. The on demand is half a penny for an hour. Okay, Windows you go up is 2 pennies an hour, and the reserved is 1.5 cents. Okay, so Windows is a little bit more than Linux because you have to kind of pay for the license as well, right? So there's these different instance types, and I just don't know why this search isn't working. That's fine. So for example, T2 Nano, we can dig into it and it gives us some additional information. By the way, it might be cheaper in a different region. but usually you want to be in a certain region. Now, one of the cheapest regions is going to be the bigger regions, which like North Virginia. So it's a good thing to kind of stick with that. Now, one of the huge things for businesses is the cost for doing business. A lot of companies, they have idle resources because they're going to need it at a certain point in time, but they don't need it right now. With a cloud provider like AWS, you can handle all sorts of things, whether it's you always need it, so you're going to reserve it, to you need it some of the time and you want it right then, or hey, I need it, I will, but it's something that I'm doing nightly reports. So it's going to take me, 2 hours to do the reports, but I have 8 hours. So I'm going to do spot cost until I get towards the last 2 hours, and if it's not done yet, then we'll switch to on demand and we'll finish getting them done. Or maybe it's your year-end reports, or your month-end reports, or it's your tax reporting. Those are things that can easily be shoved over to like a spot instance. But you have to be thinking about this. And it's the benefit that you get to going to something like cloud computing. So, by the way, I'm pretty sure with Linux, you're charged by second, where Windows, it was like by the minute or something. I don't know. There's weird details like that you might want to know for when you go into certification. So study, try and understand some of the details there, because if you're going to be paying for it for a certain period of time, you may as well try and get your money's worth. And there's also, you get charged, well, you don't get charged when it's shutting down. The moment you tell it's going to shut down, it starts to not charge you when it gets to a certain state. So there's also database instance types, and these are basically compute that's specifically designed for databases, and that has its own charging as well. And they're optimized in a little different way. So I'll link to these down below. There's lots of different types. We terminated ours, so let's go ahead and let's launch an instance. Oh, before I do this, I should create keys, SSH keys. So let me come back here to my EC2, and I'm going to open up a terminal window. Now, please don't be afraid of a terminal window. This command will work in Windows or Linux, so or Apple as well. So I'm going to SSH-keygen, and it wants to create one and overwrite my default one. I don't want it to overwrite my default one, but I'm going to put it in the same directory. So I'm just going to get that directory, and I'm going to call this 2025 videos. Okay. And a passphrase is like a password for your key. I'm going to leave that blank. Depending on where you work, that's not a good idea. You might want a password on it as well. Okay, cool. So I have that. I'm not going to use this key for anything other than these videos. So am I comfortable? Well, we'll see. So I'm gonna look at, if I look at this directory, and since I'm on Linux, I need to look at it this way, and I want 2025, and I'll say star. We'll see that two were created. One that ends with videos and one that says pub. This is my public key to my private key. Public key you can give to people. Private key stays private. Don't give it to anyone. Okay. So I need to give this public key to AWS. It's in a hidden folder, so I'm just gonna copy this up to my home. Okay. So now, by the way, that command copy is different in Windows. Right? No. Yeah, is it COPY? And LS is DIR in Windows. So the keygen is the same, but some of these other commands are different. Okay, so I have those. Let me come here and I go to key pairs, and I'm going to actions, import a key pair. If you create a key pair, then AWS has your private key. I don't like that. So I'm very much cybersecurity oriented, so I do not want anyone to have it. So I'm going to browse. I'm going to upload. Right there's my pub. Sweet. Import key pair. And it's there. Cool. So now I can come to my EC2 dashboard. Oh, that's the global view. Let's go back. I'm going to come to just EC2. In the Learner Lab, they only let you launch in North Virginia, if I remember right. So I'm going to launch an instance. And the server name, I'm going to do my Linux. Oh, you know what? Let's not do case. Let's say Linux. And we're going to do Amazon Linux. We're going to do T2 Micro with a key pair of that key that we just created. I don't like creating a security group, but we will. We're going to leave everything else at default. We're going to launch the instance. There's a lot of things to learn there. The best way to learn is to play. So look and see what there is and play with it. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to launch another instance just so we'll have it for future videos as well. So we're going to launch another instance. We're going to call this virus, and it's going to be Microsoft Windows because I feel like it's a virus. And oh, look, it won't let me use that key because it's not the right format. We'll use this Voke key. I'll have to tell you about that in the video. Okay, we'll let it create its stupid security group. It needs a lot more storage because it's Windows. Launch instance. Okay, so in this video, what we've done, talked a little bit about EC2, the different options, different prices. We terminated some instances. We launched some instances. We even created a key. So that's pretty good. I think that's a good stopping point. We'll start connecting to them in the future. See you in the next one.